And that's right, everybody. Oh, and here we are, joined by my co-host, Daniel Bobo Carlin. Once again, this is the Best Seat in the House podcast, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on this Thursday evening, like always. I am Rob Kramer, your host. Of course, my co-host, Daniel Bobo Carlin. And Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. A little. I'm happy that the Rangers seem to finally be getting their act together, but at the same time, don't know how my TV survived since the unfortunate circumstances that have happened during the Knicks game. That's caused a big panic throughout the entire city.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. There has been a lot of discussion. Obviously, you mentioned the Rangers. You open up with them, how bad they've been at home so far this year. We'll talk about in a little bit how they finally got off the schneid there and got a W earlier this week. The Knicks, on the other hand, were undefeated at home, 7-0 coming into yesterday until a very unfortunate thing happened. And you know what, Dan? We'll start there, but real quick, before we get into everything else, I think it's appropriate to start this off with a little remembrance, real quick, because the news broke earlier today that a guy that has been a force with the New York Rangers in the media for literally almost 50 years, Larry Brooks, passed away today at the age of 75. This guy has been, if you have any part of New York Rangers history since really about 1968, Larry Brooks has been on the beat really for the entirety of the most recent version of the Garden that the Rangers currently playing right now. And it's a shame. I know a lot of Ranger fans have mixed emotions on Larry Brooks. We all remember, the Dan Boyle incident from about a decade ago, where former Ranger defenseman Dan Boyle apparently really didn't like Larry Brooks, and a bunch of Ranger fans agree with them. I, on the other hand, was a big fan of Larry Brooks's work. I remember growing up and reading Larry Brooks as a kid, and learning a lot about hockey just from the way this guy wrote about it. And of course, the 1994 season, which he, as a 7 or 8 year old, I wasn't really reading too much of Larry Brooks back then, but in the years to follow, I became a big fan of him. So rest in peace, Larry Brooks. Dan, what are your thoughts on the passing of the great Larry Brooks?
Yeah, we've lost one of the great hockey reporters out there, and someone who's just a mainstay here in New York. If you've grown up in New York over the years, if you know hockey, you know who this name is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well said. Larry Brooks was a Hall of Fame writer, well deserved it, and was an icon from the New York Post, covering this team for decades. So, Godspeed, Larry Brooks. It's been a tough year, Dan. We lost a lot of good people this year. So, Larry Brooks, unfortunately, is the latest. So, rest in peace to the great Larry Brooks. And let's start talking about some of the Garden teams in honor of Larry Brooks. We'll get to the football in a little bit, as obviously big news with the Giants, big news with the Jets, and the Jets got a game to play tonight. So we'll get into that in a sec. We'll talk a little Garden sports first before we get into everything, Dan. And you mentioned the Knicks. Let's start there, and there's a reason for that. The Knicks dropped the second of a back-to-back yesterday at the Garden, 124-107 versus the Magic. And yeah, that's definitely a story, because the Knicks, for the first time at home at least all year, it looked like from the outset the Knicks were outclassed in this game. And just kind of had that feeling where the Knicks could never really get rocking and rolling in this one. They never really felt like they settled in, and at no point really had even a puncher's chance to get this game within their grasp. They cut it till about 10 points a couple of times, but really for the most part, this was hovering in the 15 to 20 range for most of the game. And that's basically where it ended, too, as the Rangers ended up losing this one 124-107. The Knicks, ended up losing this one to that. It would be quite a story if that many goals were scored in a Rangers game. So, no, that definitely didn't happen. It was a Knicks loss. And, Dan, a tough one, because not only did we lose the game, the Knicks may have lost Jalen Brunson for a period of time. Their best player goes down with an ankle injury late in the game, where, I mean, the reason for a lot of the anger in the city right now is that Jalen Brunson probably shouldn't have even been in this game anymore. The Knicks were losing. There was no way they were going to come back. Brunson being in there was not a smart move. And, Mike Brown kept him in there. And this is what happens. Now, Jalen Brunson goes down with this injury. And we just got to kind of sit back and hope that it's not for a long period of time. They said he was leaving the Garden yesterday in a walking boot, which is not a good sign. But, that could mean anything. It could be extra precautionary. We're going to find out the next play again tomorrow night. So I wonder if Jalen's going to be available for that. What are your thoughts on the injury, Dan? And did you think that Mike Brown left Jalen Brunson in for too long?
I think so. I really think Mike Brown left Jalen Brunson in too long. Freaking cost us, and we better hope he doesn't have to miss too much time because it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna be put a lot of nervous energy into us Knicks fans for quite a while. And I think I probably woke up I think the whole block heard me when I was cursing up a storm when Brunson being injured. The whole block heard me. That's all I could say.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Because the funny thing is that the Knicks had played so well this year that really at home. Because let's be honest, before yesterday they were 0-3 on the road, and they were 7-0 at home. Basically, the complete opposite of their Garden counterpart, the New York Rangers, who had one of the best records on the road in the league, and until Monday were winless at home. So it's odd how the two seasons almost mirrored each other in a way to start. But yeah, it was very, concerning when he went down. He probably shouldn't have even been in the game anymore. This was an unwinnable game at that point. So having Jalen Brunson in there was not a smart move. But let's be honest, Dan, the Knicks have looked very, very good until last night, especially at home. The offense really has been cooking. I mean, you got to think, the crazy thing about last night's game is that the Knicks scored, I think it was 38 points or something like that in the first half last night, or it might have been 41, actually. I think it was 41 points the Knicks scored in the first half last night. And the Knicks had scored 40 points in the first quarter in 3 straight games before that. The Knicks were averaging 120, 130 points the last couple of games, because right now the Knicks are in the midst of this 7-game homestand at the Garden, which you got to love, having a chance to establish yourself at home early in the year. And, man, they had really taken to it offensively. They were looking great. They were executing on all cylinders. The only thing you could probably say is maybe they haven't got Karl-Anthony Towns going 100% yet, but he's still shown signs that he's going to be there. As always, he's a very reliable player most of the time. So it looks like Towns is going to be okay. But Dan, last night aside, because we all know how ugly that loss was, especially with the Brunson injury. But so far right now, how are your feelings about the Mike Brown system and the way the offense has performed so far this year?
I'm feeling good about this Knicks team so far, and I hope we can keep it up and still manage to successfully hold the fort the rest of the way for lanes, because they might need to. But I have so far, I'm having good confidence in this Knicks team. I haven't seen a Knicks this good with so much high championship expectations in a while. This has been a long time since the last time I remember I could really watch a Knicks game and not feel like I'm just watching a disaster film.
Yeah, it's true. And, we got to, even though I think a lot of us are still, in the Thibodeau camp, you could also say that I think a lot of Knicks faithful still are loyal to Tom Thibodeau. He's the guy that really turned this ship around here. But I got to give credit to Mike Brown. Until the Jalen Brunson injury last night, he had done a really good job of getting much more out of his bench than Tom Thibodeau really ever did as Knicks head coach. And I got to give him a lot of credit for that. We're seeing a lot of growth from guys like Miles McBride, who still always looks very good out there. Obviously, they're really starting to round Mitchell Robinson into form. I really liked what I've seen out of Jordan Clarkson, too. Jordan Clarkson could be a really valuable asset off the bench. A lot of people don't even realize this, but the last couple of years off the bench, I forget where he was, wherever it was in one of the West Coast teams, he averaged 5 assists a game off the bench. Now, off the bat, that might not seem like a big number, but you don't see too many guys coming off the bench playing 15, 20, maybe 25 max minutes a night, averaging that many dishes. So you got to give him credit for that. He's a facilitator. I don't think he really has his shot 100% working yet, but I'm a big fan of Jordan Clarkson. And obviously Josh Hart, he comes in there, and I don't know if he's necessarily the straw that stirs the drink, to borrow a phrase from the great Reggie Jackson, but I do think that Josh Hart is almost like, as Clyde Frazier has said this in the past, he's the heartbeat of this New York Knicks team. And I think our new head coach, Mike Brown, is figuring that out too, how valuable an asset Josh Hart can be too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like this team's coming together, and I feel like the next couple of games are going to really be a big telling of our current coach's his where his legacy with the Knicks could end up playing out.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Mike Brown, 2-time former NBA head coach of the year. So let's hope that he gets a third one here. Although, to be honest, I'm a lot more concerned with his postseason hardware for bringing a championship to the Knicks. So that's what he's going to be graded on, how far he goes in the playoffs. So let's hope, fingers crossed, Mike Brown gets the job done, and that job will continue tomorrow night, Dan. He's only 11 games in. Game number 12 will be tomorrow night at home. I believe it's the final game of this homestand now. And the Heat, who delivered the Knicks their first loss of the year in Miami at the end of October, Knicks look to even the score up a little bit and hand Miami a loss at the Garden tomorrow night. And then, the Knicks better, A, hope that Jalen Brunson's healthy, and B, no matter what the case is tomorrow, they got to be ready to play, because the Miami Heat, no matter who they run out there, no matter what's going on in their season, they are always a tough team to face. They've got one of the best coaches in the league in Eric Spoelstra, and the Knicks better make sure that if they're going to go out there and get a win tonight and finish this homestand on a high note, they're going to have to earn it against this team.
Yeah, exactly. And also that's another game that some of you are probably going to have to go to certain other memes when the hint, because it's an Amazon broadcast. But I mean, I'm lucky enough. I have stuff to access to this officially, but I know some of you don't have. Some of you watch, you probably might not have subscriptions to Amazon, so I guess where to go to find a game.
Who else has to go to? Do you know who else has to go to a third-party website to watch the game tonight?
Who?
My mom.
You know who I feel sorry for? My mom. Oh.
Yep. Exactly. And hopefully you don't find yourself running into that the Gavin Blake version of Batman, where he beats the crap out of you for pirating the Knicks game, and right before he beats the crap out of you, makes some sort of basketball pun before he beats the crap out of you.
That's true. So make sure you keep your eyes out for the Knick game tomorrow night. I think, like Dan said, it'll be on Amazon, so keep your eyes peeled if you got any of those other third-party sites. So Knicks Heat tomorrow. Knicks off to a good start. Let's hope they can keep it rolling. Let's just wrap up the Garden here, and then we'll jump over to the football, Dan, as we'll talk about the Rangers for a couple of minutes here. And the Rangers finally broke through on on Monday, and boy, it looks like these last couple of games have just been the Rangers blowing off a lot of steam, because those first couple of weeks that this was going on, especially the Rangers. Look, they played their first 7 games at home. The Rangers got shut out 5 times. Do you know what the Rangers' record for getting shut out at home in a season is?
Well,
5. 5. The Rangers tied the franchise record that it took them 41 games to set in 7. So that just goes to show how bad the start to the season was for the New York Rangers. So these guys needed to blow off some steam the last couple of games, and they did it really, really well against a not very good Nashville Predators team on Monday, who the Rangers doubled up and beat 6-3 at the Garden, scoring 6 goals in their victory there. And then they continued that good momentum last night in Tampa Bay when they beat a pretty good Tampa Bay team 7-3. But we also have to remember that Tampa Bay was very short-handed last night. They didn't have Ryan McDonough. They didn't have Victor Hedman. They didn't have a couple of the other guys, whatever that guy's name is, Silly, whatever. There's a few guys, 3 or 4 guys, starters were missing from the Tampa Bay lineup last night, Dan. But to me, I don't care. The Rangers had to go out. There were no excuses. I didn't care who was in or out of the Tampa Bay lineup last night. The Rangers had to win that game and get 2 points, and it's exactly what they did.
Yep, exactly. They did exactly what they needed to do, and pulled off a win in front of all the snowbirds in the stands.
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of those transplants down there right now. The New Yorkers hanging out, enjoying the better weather down there in Florida. Although from what I've heard, it was cold there the last couple of days. So hopefully it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard they actually, I don't know if you know about this, but I've been to Florida and have enough relatives in Florida that they get these cold fronts there, like these, I don't know how to say, they're like windstorms that cause unusual cold weather. Not quite snow, but they do get, it's like a stretch of it's like a cold air storm, the best way to describe it. I've experienced one of these when I was in Florida once or twice. So I know what they are, but I know enough people and familiar enough with the weather in Florida to know that they sometimes get these cold air storms, which is what they.
Oh yeah, that definitely happens. I got a buddy down there right now who said the same thing, but it's going to be hot over the weekend again anyway, so they get over it pretty quickly there. You know the old saying in Florida: if you don't like the weather in Florida, just wait 20 minutes; it'll change. So it's that's the old saying over there. So
yep.
Now we got a big win for the Rangers there, Dan. And a guy I do want to give a shout out to, because a week ago on this show, me and you were a little concerned about one of the Rangers' best players. The Rangers' probably best player overall, Artemi Panarin, who, man, it's crazy. He goes out there the first couple of weeks of the season and he looks like a shell of himself. He did not look good. He looked like he was a couple of strides slower. He looked like he was a little bit lost on the ice, and then boom, he goes out and he shaves his head like he did 2 years ago, if you remember. All of a sudden, he shaves his head, and now he's the greatest player that you've ever seen again. Artemi Panarin goes out there and continues his last hot couple of games. He scored a goal and 2 assists the other night. He comes up with 4 assists last night. So he's really racking up the points right now, getting himself back on track, getting his season back on track. So, look, we could say we want to. I know a lot of Ranger fans are probably dreaming about trading him at some point and maybe getting something back for him. But I am not looking forward to the day when Artemi Panarin no longer wears a Rangers jersey, because he has been, with the possible exception of Wayne Gretzky, because that was just on a different level. It was really cool to see Gretzky play here for 3 years, even if his numbers weren't there all the time. But Artemi Panarin is the greatest free agent signing in the history of the New York Rangers. And, I'm going to enjoy every second that we have this guy in our team.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope we manage to find a way to reach an extension for him sometime during the offseason, because I feel like if the Rangers keep going up with this, they're probably not going to trade him, because he's going to be a key factor in this team bouncing back if he keeps this up. I feel like this slow start might be just a blip of the radar, and it's going to turn a 180. I'm hoping it's turn. I'm hoping it's turned to turn. I'm hoping it's turning a 180, and that'll make me feel extra pumped when I'm possibly in Miami about to attend the Winter Classic, if I could even refer to it as a Winter Classic, because it's going to be, because I've said before, it's going to be unusual weather for me, for a lot of us, for an outdoor hockey game.
That's right. It's going to be a really interesting one on for that game, Rangers and Panthers at the beginning of next year. But yeah, so really interesting to see what happens with Panarin. Apparently he's not going to take a discount, and that hurts, but I don't blame him either. He's 33 years old. He's getting to that point right now where this might be his last big payday in the NHL, so he's got to make it count.
Yeah, and I feel like the management of the Rangers is going to do the right thing to understand what this guy means to this team.
Yeah, but then again, you have to be smart, and he said he's not going to take anything less than what he's getting paid right now. What he's getting paid right now is $11.6 million. And this isn't baseball. This isn't basketball or anything where they've got a cap through the roof. This is hockey where they got a pretty strict cap. And $11.6 million for a 34-year-old player that could be on the downswing next couple of years might not be the smartest move. So we got to see what the Rangers think right now. And hey, I don't care what happens in the future. I just hope he has a great season, and we'll take it from there. Just like we did with Pete Alonso last year for the Mets. It was, whatever. Whatever happens in the offseason happens, but I hope he has a big year for the Mets, and it's exactly what he did this year. Let's hope Panarin follows suit, and Panarin will get a chance to keep this hot streak going. And that'll be on Saturday night in Columbus as the Rangers take on the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are a tough team. They got a lot of young talent on that team, but the Rangers should be able to go in there and get a W and keep this thing going.
Yeah, I expect the Rangers to get a W and keep this thing going, and me going nuts in front of TV, and hopefully that me freaking taking a shot of that Canadian with the Crown Royal keeps the momentum going, because that's literally what I decided to do that time before the game. Just take a shot of Crown Royal before the game.
Exactly, man. So yeah, no doubt about it. Make sure you got that Crown Royal ready to rock, and yeah, I'm with you on that. And also, Rangers and Blue Jackets on Saturday. So still early in the season, still enough time to turn that ship around. And all right, Dan, with that, let's turn our attention now to the NFL. And we are going to start with your New York Giants, Dan. And, we did our breaking news segment when we did our Patreon version of the show on Monday, because Monday was the breaking story. It's not breaking news anymore, but the Giants have fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. They named offensive coordinator Mike Kafka as their interim head coach. We talked about it on Patreon, so if you want to hear a more in-depth analysis of it, feel free to subscribe, patreon.com/Best Eaten House Podcast. But just to touch on it for our regular viewing audience, Dan, what are your thoughts on the Giants ousting Brian Daboll and elevating Mike Kafka to the interim head coach position?
I think this was a decision they needed to make. He was just badly. He was doing a horrible job of managing the team in that fourth quarter, especially not being smart enough to run the clock enough when you're on offense during the late stages of the fourth quarter, and it's cost us too many times, and once again it's leading to us having a disastrous season. Plus plus even the freaking causing our quarterback to get injured because of not calling the right plays that left our quarterback in the open that late in the game when you had
Yeah, they
the
have.
game pretty much sealed.
Yeah, well, they have not put Jackson Dart in a position to succeed over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he gets beaten up a couple of times a game. You see him take 2 or 3 major hits a game, which a guy his size cannot withstand. He's not. We're going to talk in a second about the Giants' new quarterback, their starter, who was named earlier today. But he's not the size of a guy like Jameis Winston. Jackson Dart cannot take that type of beating that his coaching staff has allowed him to take so far. And, not only did this whole thing start to unravel with them having him pass on 3rd and 5, up 26-16 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter against Denver, then he throws the interception and everything fell apart after that. And it was the same thing with this. As soon as he gets hit and he fumbles the ball, he goes into concussion protocol and he gets yanked out of the game. You just knew the Giants were in a bad spot. Next thing you know, Caleb Williams is running the ball in, 24-20. Bears lead late in the game, and a game in which the Giants basically led the entire time somehow becomes a loss. We saw the Giants have a 17-10 lead, a 20-30. You just go down the list of every time the score changed in this game, it still had the Giants in the lead. And then out of nowhere in the end, boom, loss. When I saw the way that the Giants lost this game, it did not surprise me that Daboll got fired, especially when me and you were talking about the breaking news last week that came out from WFAN, where WFAN Sean Morash reported that the Giants had basically decided to fire Brian Daboll on the flight home from Denver after they blew that game. But apparently cooler heads prevailed. The ownership got talked out of it. And, they ended up making the more rational, I guess, decision to keep the head coach in place and just see what happens. But then when the way they lost this game, because, okay, in between they ended up losing to the Eagles. That sucks, but you can't knock them for that, the defending Super Bowl champs. But when you lose to the Bears, I'm sorry, and I have the 49ers on there because they ended up losing to the Niners too. But it was actually a loss to the Bears. When you lose to the Bears, who are an up-and-coming team, let's not discount the Bears too. The Bears are 6-3 now. They're a team on the upswing, no doubt about it. But we have to be realistic here. That's a game the Giants should have won. And with emotions and tension as high as it is with the Giants right now, and the ownership as clearly frustrated as they've ever been, it didn't surprise me to see them fire Daboll in this manner. Dan, what did you think?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. And then this is what happened, and now it's just going to be disaster, and you gotta hope that Jackson Dart isn't out for too long, that he can get back in there and get a couple of reps in before the season ends, because you want Jackson Dart to get as much reps in there to be ready for next year, which could be is setting up for an even bigger year next year.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. And now, who knows what the outlook is going to be for Jackson Dart as he attempts to make his return at some point this year. I would think he's not done for the year. I think that we're going to see Jackson Dart at some point, but we know he's in concussion protocol, so he's been ruled out for this Sunday's game. And Jameis Winston, that's right, the Jameis Winston, who the only time we've seen Jameis Winston this year was in the preseason game against the Jets. That's the only time we've seen Jameis. And he's been named starting quarterback. What did you think about this, Dan? Because as much as I didn't mind it, it's kind of going with the unknown a little bit from a Giants perspective, because at least Russell Wilson, as up and down as he was at times, we did see a lot of good out of Russell Wilson. I mean, the guy did throw for 450 yards against the Dallas Cowboys in a game earlier this year. So did it surprise you at all to see them name Winston the starter over Russell Wilson?
Yeah, it surprised me because I feel like Russell Wilson's been getting more reps in practice and getting more reps during the season. I feel like he would be less cold going into this, but they just I'm surprised, and the Giants better hope this doesn't turn into disaster. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be 2 years in a row. I'm gonna be heavily watching the draft and making it must-watch TV because that's usually what happens when my team has a high draft pick. That's gonna be like potentially a franchise altering the draft pick. I'm must watch TV, and if this keeps up happening again, it's going to turn out to be that once again.
No doubt about it, Dan. No doubt about it. So we now know Jameis Winston will be starting against the Packers this coming up Sunday. Another interesting thing, Dan, is that the Giants have made it known to Giants ownership, meaning Tish and Mara, the two guys running the show there. They have said that GM Joe Shane is not being fired, which is a questionable decision to say the least, and that he will lead the search for the new head coach. Now, when I saw this, because let's be honest, me and you both thought, like a lot of Giants fans did this offseason, we thought after the Giants' year last year that both of these guys should have been fired. So it feels like to me like the same thing that the Jets, the same mistake that the Jets made last year, where you should have known Robert Saleh stinks as a head coach for the Jets, but what they did was that they kept him around and they ended up firing him 5 or 6 games into last season. I think they were 2-3, so 5 games in to last season. Brian Daboll gets fired after 10. So you're telling me that was it worth like they gave Brian Daboll an extension last year. So you paid him now to only coach 10 games and then fired him. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now he's still getting fired. That money's guaranteed. It's not like coaches and GMs and stuff are not like players. They still get paid. So Giants ownership doled that money out to Brian Daboll, and he's still counting it right now. Now, Joe Shane's the same thing. He got an extension last year too. And it's just very surprising to me, Dan, that they decided to do this because it seems like everything would point them in the opposite direction of this. Joe Shane, you can like Jackson Dart as much as you want. You can like some of the other guys that he's drafted over the last couple of years. But the fact is, sure, the high-end talent was there. He got, whenever they had a first-round pick, he picked a pretty damn good player. No doubt about it. Abdul Carter, Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart, all these guys. Very good stuff, no doubt about it. However, when it comes to filling out the rest of the roster, the Giants roster stinks. I'm sorry. When you look at the rest of this team, there's a lot of holes. Outside of Malik Neighbors, they don't have many wide receivers. They're ever since Cam Scatterbo got hurt, their running game has been out the freaking window. And I don't mind Tyrone Tracy, but he's just not doing anything. So it's when you look at Joe Shane and judge him on his record, it's very confusing why they would keep him and why they would want him to do anything involving picking their next head coach.
I am surprised they kept him. He should have been fired as well, and we're unfortunately stuck with this. And the only thing he's done well and it was in spite of him, is because luckily the Giants were in a position that that these guys were available. These draft picks were available. That's the only reason why he's gotten lucky in the draft.
That's true. No doubt about it, Dan. So yeah, we know that Joe Shane's not going anywhere, at least for the foreseeable future. And this is a guy too, we have criticized over the last couple of years the Giants roster decisions, specifically the way they've handled their kicking over the last couple of years. Guess who makes those decisions, everybody? Joe Shane, not Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll wasn't making those calls. It was Joe Shane. And once again, a guy Joe Shane paid to be on this team this year. Why he would decide to do that? This guy has been injured for the last 2 or 3 years for the Giants. He's been the most unreliable health-wise kicker in the entire league. And now once again, Graham Gano's out for the year. He's been placed on IR. So actually, it might not be out for the year, but it's at least gone for the next month or so. But yeah, Graham Gano's been placed on the IR. He's going to be missing more time. And the Giants did, however, bring in a legitimate backup kicker in Young-Shu Koo, who came over from the Atlanta Falcons and actually kicked a couple of field goals last week. Didn't look too bad. But, it's about time that the Giants actually appropriately address their backup kicker. And it's time to cut bait with Graham Gano. This guy is an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, this kicker's damaged goods, and the Giants need to address that in the offseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because you know what they say, Dan, the best ability is availability. And unfortunately, Graham Gano, no matter how much you might like him, no matter how much of a good guy he is, no matter how much of a good kicker he might be when he's healthy, he just isn't healthy enough. So, unfortunately, Graham Gano back to the IR. And now, Dan, it's going to be a big test for the New York Giants on Sunday, 1 p.m. It'll be the Green Bay Packers against the New York Giants at 1 p.m. Mike Kafka making his head coaching debut. And one thing the Giants ownership said they're looking for in Kafka is they want to see his leadership skills on display. And that's going to be a big thing, Dan. You know, we saw last year when the Jets fired Robert Saleh and replaced him with Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich did not have any of those leadership qualities. And not only did he not have those leadership qualities, he didn't have the ability to coach the team and the defense at the same time. Now, it looks like he's not going to do that because he actually elevated one of his offensive assistants to be his new offensive coordinator. So it looks like he's actually taking a kind of smart move there. And he's going to take the team as more of a CEO approach rather than trying to coach the team and the offense at the same time. So I do give Kafka a lot of credit for that. But this is a big game, Dan, because while the playoffs, just much like my team, might have slipped through your fingers so far this year, you want to see some progression in this team, and you want to see some fight out of these guys, especially against a team like the Packers, who have been a good team this year, but they've definitely underachieved, and especially on the road. The Giants can get a big upset here if they really try.
Yeah, I feel like the Giants really need to put up a good showing, even if they don't win this. Show off a little fight in this team. Just bring in some momentum into next year. They need to continue to do that. Another thing I'm hearing about coaches rumors. I'm hearing rumors of Belichick being potentially one of the coaches one of the people they're considering.
Yeah, well, you know me, Dan. I've been saying Belichick should be the Giants head coach for a couple of years now, especially last year before he went to North Carolina. I thought it made the most sense. And of course, the Giants opted to keep these idiots who only ended up lasting another 10 games. But I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see. At this point, I don't know what you're getting in Bill Belichick, so I hope it's not a guy past his prime. Maybe you might. To be honest, Dan, as much as I know as alluring as a guy like Belichick could be, you know who I would really want if I was a Giants fan? I would go all out for a guy that I was screaming for the Jets to bring in last year, John Gruden. John Gruden would help turn this team around. And we all know John Gruden is a quarterback guy. He's an offensive guy. So I think it would be a great thing to pair John Gruden up with a young Jackson Dart. I think that would be a great pair right there. What do you think?
Yeah, I just feel like John Gruden would be the right guy to elevate this team to the next level. I feel like especially when you got a young quarterback like Jackson Dart. This is the guy you got to go to. They cannot sleep on this one. This is what the Giants need to do.
Yeah, or also too another guy I heard too is former Packers and former Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. That's another guy who has a lot of experience with quarterbacks. We all saw how much better he made Dak Prescott as a quarterback. We all know, obviously, he was the head coach the last couple of years under Brett Favre. He's the one that really helped mature and turn Aaron Rodgers into the future Hall of Famer that he is today. So, what do you think about, about bringing in a guy like that too?
Yeah, McCarthy's another one that I would be satisfied with. That I feel like could also elevate this team to the next level.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing with the Giants now. They have a lot of different options on the table. And if it were me, I just hope that Joe Shane isn't the one making the call. But all right, that's going to do it for the Giants. Let's get over to the Jets now, who are actually playing tonight. The Jets kick off in about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little bit less. And obviously last week was a whirlwind for the Jets as they traded Sauce Gardner, their two-time All-Pro cornerback. They traded Quinn Williams, two guys who they both selected in the top 5 of the draft in the last few years. Unfortunately, they ended up cutting bait and moving on from these guys, but they ended up getting a lot of draft picks out of it. Now, a lot of people thought that the Jets were just going to kind of sink after that, and it's possible the fact they played the Browns is the only reason they won. Because let's be honest, the last 2 games the Jets played have been against the Cincinnati Bengals, who might have the worst defense of all time, and the Cleveland Browns, who absolutely stink. So the Jets did get back-to-back wins, albeit against bad teams. But look, how much better are the Jets anyway? So I'm happy with the 2 wins. Jets beat the Browns 27-20. It was really a special teams show for the Jets in that one. It was the first time in Jets history that they had a punt return and a kick return and a touchdown in the same game. So that was really fun to see. Their kicker, Nene Nguanu, ended up being named Special Teams Player of the Week after his 99-yard touchdown kickoff return. So that was a lot of fun to see. This kid is playing really well. And another guy I want to give a lot of credit to is the Jets made a big deal about benching Quincy Williams, saying that he hadn't played very well. This guy is the brother of Quinn Williams. So not only did he get benched, and in the same week, his brother got traded from the team. So he got 2 kicks, last week, and still went out there and played his best game of the year. So shout out to Quincy Williams for really showing up and trying to win his starter's job back. Really loved that. But Dan, I don't think anybody's picking the Jets to go to the Super Bowl after beating the Browns like this. But it's nice to see it. Especially it just goes to show that there's a little bit of progression. It might not be much. It might not be the greatest thing of all time, but at least we're seeing that incremental. Okay, they're moving up a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good win for the Jets. It was a good win for the Jets, even though there are probably some Jet fans that are probably bitching about this because they probably were. At this point, it looks like a lot of them are just expecting to win the Tank Bowl because they know they're in a situation where this team is looking for that franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but you won't hear that from me. You won't hear that from me because I am not an idiot, and I'm not going to sit here and hope for my team to lose in November. I have no respect for the Jet fans that sat there and were like, "Ooh, how could the Jets beat the Browns? How could the Jets beat the?" You don't even like. Are you an actual fan, or do you just want the Jets to get more lottery tickets in the draft? Like, the thing is, do you know the last time? It's been a long time. If we go all the way back to 2012, when the Indianapolis Colts selected Andrew Luck, ever since that draft, no quarterback that's been selected number 1 overall has won a championship. And only Joe Burrow and I forget the other one. Joe Burrow and Jared Goff are the only 2 to even get to a Super Bowl. So, Jared Goff didn't even go number 1. So I forget that there was another guy in there, whoever it was. I forget that. I saw the stat the other day. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to draft a guy number 1 overall for him to be the best in the league. You know what I mean? Josh Allen got picked number 9th. What's his name? Patrick Mahomes got picked in the late 20s. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. So it's about picking the right guy. It's not about getting the highest draft pick. Because if it was about getting the highest draft pick, the Jets and the Giants both would be meeting in the Super Bowl this year. Think about how many times these two teams have drafted in the top 5 in the past 5 to 10 years alone. So I don't want to hear Jet fans complaining about this win. Sure, if it's maybe the last game of the season and it's really going to hurt your draft pick, then I get saying, okay, you know what? It's not a smart move to win this game. But when we're not even at freaking Thanksgiving yet, don't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm rooting for my team to win. Do you want – that's the thing I don't understand about Jet fans too. What kind of confidence would you have had in Aaron Glenn if he came out this year and went 1-16 or 0-17? What kind of confidence would you have? At least if we see, like even tonight with this game, the Jets are 12.5-point underdogs. We're going to give our picks in a little bit, but nobody's expecting the Jets to win or even be in this game. If the Jets can show that they can compete and be in this and not get their doors blown off here, it's another step in the right direction. That's all this is. It's about enjoying watching your team play. It's about it not being a chore. So I think that's the thing for me, Dan, that I want to see this team show me signs that we have good things to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want as a fan. You want you want the team to show good signs, something that they have something to build on, that they know that they have this guy or this guy going into next year who could maybe have a big impact. That's what you want to see.
Exactly, man. So Jets got that win. Now we know Will McDonald, he had 4 sacks in that game, tying a Jets record with Gastineau and John Abraham. So big shout out to him. Breece Hall continues to just be amazing. Love this guy. I hope the Jets continue to give him the ball as often as possible tonight. So, and let's get an extension going for him. That would be nice. On the bad side of things, though, Garrett Wilson, his knee injury flared up again last week. So he's actually been now placed on IR. So he's going to be out for the next month. At least it was 3 to 4 weeks, but once he's on IR now, it's a flat 4 weeks. So he's not going to be available again until mid-December. So, hopefully he gets healthy quickly. It stinks seeing him go down like that. And then, tonight, Jets-Patriots, Dan, big-time matchup. Thursday night football, everybody, as the Jets and the Patriots. This could be a record from any of the last years under Tom Brady with the Patriots, and screw them and screw Mike Vrabel and screw their piece of shit owner Robert Kraft for turning things around so quickly. Well, I've had to watch 15 years of dog shit for the New York Jets. But it would be very sweet to go into New England tonight and knock them off their pedestal here a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a good thing for you guys, but the Jets have a lot of work cut out for them. Because just when you thought, a lot of fans of teams in the AFC East thought they were going to finally have a chance. Oh, the dynasty, the Patriot is breaking, just like past dynasties in sports have broken. They got a chance. It's wide open. The Patriots start getting good again quickly.
That's right. That's right. So we do know this for sure. Absolutely. And that is going to do it for us with the Jets here. Last thing, though, is that the Jets, if they do win tonight, would become only the second team in NFL history to start 0-7 and then win 3 straight to get up to 3-7. The only other team to do that, 2011, Miami Dolphins. All right, last couple of things before we do our NFL picks and get out of here, Dan. I did want to talk. We did hear some reports. Obviously, the GM meetings are going on right now in baseball. John Heyman put out a story yesterday after Scott Boras and David Stern spoke to the media. And it looks like the Mets, Pete Alonso and Scott Boras are already having talks. And word is that the tone and everything is already better early on than it was last year at this time. So it looks like, and even by gauging how glowingly Scott Boras talked about Met fans, yesterday, and Pete Alonso's relationship with Met fans, and Pete Alonso being an icon in the Mets franchise and a franchise player, it seemed to me like I think he understands that Pete Alonso's value is greater to the Mets than any other team that they're going to talk to. So it feels like to me that this is a good start and a good sign that maybe, we're going to be getting Pete Alonso back in a Met uniform next year, and a lot easier than it was last year.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good sign. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be one less thing to stress over, and maybe hopefully they'll resolve this quick. Come re-signs with the Pete Alonso's going to be spending a couple more years at the Mets, and then we'll have to worry about us re-signing. Hopefully, the rest of the way we'll be worrying about us re-signing Diaz and maybe David Stearns for once, bring in some pitching for once. Which
that would be nice. That would be nice. Let's see if he could get that done.
Yeah, yep, exactly. That because I feel that I said that was the biggest thing that the Mets needed to do in the offseason. When one of the key check marks that needed to be checked off is getting pitching, especially they need a good pitcher that could complement these young starting pitchers that are up and coming with the team. I feel like it's a good shape, and they needed to have at least one pitcher that could complement this team to ease some of the weight off these young pitchers.
I agree. They definitely need a vet, and I think the vet we all have in mind is Tariq Skubal. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Another interesting thing too, Dan, is that I saw right off the bat that the Mets, the Mets are having significant interest in Cody Bellinger right off the bat. I would love if the Mets got Cody Bellinger and put him in center field. I would absolutely love that, because not only for a second straight year are we taking away a star player from the Yankees, Cody Bellinger would fit perfectly in this lineup if the Mets went out there and signed Pete Alonso again. Because then, could you imagine this? You think about a 3-4-5 in this lineup of Soto, Alonso, and Bellinger. And not to mention the defense that Bellinger brings in center field too. Oh, that would be a home run if the Mets could pull this off.
Oh, that would be such a welcome. That I feel like he'd be such a welcome player. He's got that. I feel like he's got that ability as a player that would just elevate the offenses. Especially he has that experience with the championships. I forget. Was he on both the 2020 and was he on the 2024 team with the Dodgers? If I'm correct, or was it after? I think
no. He was on the 2020 Dodgers, but he was not on 2024. He was in Chicago that year.
But what I did have to say though, at the same time, he's got that pedigree. He's got that experience, that playoff experience that can handle that. I feel like that's kind of one of the things, because it's really tough to sometimes gauge when you bring in a superstar to New York is what kind of experience they have and the ability to be able to handle things like New York. And one of the key things when you got to look at that is playoff experience, because that's really where you kind of know. I feel like where you really know how they can handle that, because that playoff experience, that kind of pressure that you experience in the playoffs, happens all year long when you're in New York. So that kind of says it right. That kind of is a good. I feel that's a good assessment bar for what kind of player can handle wearing the uniform of the New York Mets is the playoff experience they have.
Very true, Dan. All right. With that, it's time to get into our NFL picks for Week 11 now. All right, everybody. Thank you for sticking around with us here. We are just about done doing our picks now for this week. Real quick, we'll recap last week. Last week, Bobo took Denver, Cleveland, and Chicago. I took the Raiders with the points, the Jets, and the Bears. And Dan, you actually took an 0-3. I went 2-1. But the thing that really screwed us both was that Chicago Bears Giants game, because we took the Bears -4.5, and the Bears won by 4. So we got screwed by half a point out of a win for the both of us there. So with that, Dan, You dropped down to 14-15. I improved to 18-11. Still both very good. We're still looking pretty good. Only 4 games apart in the standings. So we are still right in the thick of things, Dan. And with that, let's get into our picks. We will start with tonight. The New York Jets are in Gillette Stadium up in New England to take on the Patriots. Patriots this year have started off 8-2, their best start in quite a few years now, since the end of the Tom Brady era. And it is a big line there tonight, Dan. The Patriots are minus 12.5 point favorites at home against the Jets. Dan, obviously we all know the Jets had that long losing streak to the Patriots, which was stopped a couple of years ago. But Dan, what are your thoughts, Jets-Patriots tonight on Thursday Night Football? Who do you got?
I feel like the Patriots probably have a 27-7 win for the Patriots in this one.
Okay, 27-7. So you're picking the Patriots by 20. So you were saying the Patriots will cover in that game. So you've got the Pats, and call me an idiot. Call me a stupid idiot. I've actually picked the Jets the last 2 weeks in our picks. And I've been right on them both times. I don't know why. And the funny thing is the first 7 weeks of the year, I didn't pick the Jets at all. Now, the Jets' last 2 games, I've picked them. And with these point spread tonight, I can't help myself but stay away from that. And I actually put my money where my mouth is tonight because I put money on the Jets tonight. That's how stupid I am. I'm taking the Jets plus 12.5. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to keep it close. So I'm saying Jets plus 12.5. You got Patriots minus 12.5. All right, let's keep it rolling along now, Dan. And we are going to go to Sunday afternoon, week 11. The Sunday games kick off at 1 p.m. Your New York Football Giants will be hosting the 5-3-1 Green Bay Packers, led by quarterback Jordan Love. Dan, what are your thoughts on this game? This is a big game for the Giants, and they are 7-point underdogs at home.
I feel like the Giants are going to win this one 17-14, I feel like.
Wow, so you're taking the Giants not only to cover, but a straight-up win in this one. I hear you. I hear you. I get it. To be honest, if the Giants were going to start Russell Wilson in this one, I would agree with you. But the Jameis Winston factor, I just don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of him. I don't know what kind of rhythm he's going to be in. So I just don't trust it. And let's not forget, even though they haven't played that great this year, the Packers do have a pretty good defense led by the guy they acquired from the Cowboys, Micah Parsons, at the beginning of this season. So I'm worried about Jameis Winston. So I am going to take the Packers in this one, -7. So we're going head-to-head in this one as well. You're taking the Giants +7. I'm taking the Green Bay Packers -7. All right, Dan, I can take that. Yeah.
I just felt like this one. I feel like when you do these betting, sometimes you got to take the wild pick, and sometimes that wild one turns out to be something that gets you a win. So I just had to
hear you.
Do that.
I hear you. Sometimes you got to go against the grain. You got to go with your gut. I get it, brother. So, all right, final game we are doing this weekend, and it is Sunday Night Football, and it's a big matchup in the NFC as we got the Detroit Lions taking their 6-3 record into Philadelphia to take on the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles, 7-2, and the Eagles are 2.5 point favorites on this one. Dan, who do you got in this game?
I just feel like this one's going to be like a 32-27 Lions win, feels like.
Okay, so you're taking the Lions in this one, and you're having them cover, so you're taking the Lions +2.5. I actually agree with you. I'm going to take the Lions on this one too. Lions +2.5. So with this, Dan's picks are Patriots -12.5, Giants +7, and Lions +2.5. For me, I'm taking Jets +12.5. I'm taking the Packers -7, and I'm taking the Lions +2.5. That's going to do it for our picks this week, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us until the end here. We hope you've enjoyed the show. And before we get out of here, Dan, would you have anything you'd like to plug for yourself? Dan? All right. Looks like we might have lost my co-host there, as hopefully he'll pop back up again in a second. But regardless, this is the Best Seat in the House podcast. Everybody, want to thank you so much for hanging out with us here. As always, we are wrapping the show up right now as we see the Jets coming out onto the field at MetLife Stadium. Either Bobo is caught in some kind of vortex, or we must have lost him as we're closing this thing down. But don't forget, Best Seat in the House podcast. You can catch us. All of our plugs are on the bottom of the screen at @beastit_podcast for the show, at Bobo NYC or at Bobo 103 NYC on Twitter for him, at Cramer NY. Don't forget our Instagram handle as well, Best Seat in the House podcast. Bobo is saying there's a Wi-Fi reset happening, so we might not be rejoined by him tonight. But don't forget, the Patreon is also going good for us right now. We got patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. We will be back with you on our Patreon on Sunday. But actually, as a matter of fact, we'll be back on Patreon tomorrow night as well. So that's going to do it for the show. Unfortunately, I did just get the message from Bobo that he's got to reset, so he won't be able to close the show out with us tonight. But for my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Cramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast, everybody, and we will catch you tomorrow back on Patreon. But like always, we'll be right back here, same time, same channel, 7 p.m. next Thursday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and let's go.